Hello, people. I have finished a book, the Satyricon. I read this because it gets referenced in a lot of other books that I read. And after reading it, I really don't know why it gets referenced so much. It's a novel written by a guy named Petronius, and nobody knows exactly when it was written, but everyone's best guess is the year 66. They call it Neronian because Nero. The book is incomplete. Nobody knows really how long it was. This may only be half of the book. It's not a great book. There's a lot of fragments in here, so the story jumps around. It's basically about a guy who's in love/lust with his slave boy that is young. His slave boy cheats on him. He gets the slave boy back. They try to run from this other guy. They end up on a ship. There's a shipwreck. Probably the scene on the ship is the best writing in here. As I read some of the stuff on board the ship, as I was reading that, I really recognized a writing style. He was a humorist, Petronius, and there's some funny spots there. And I have a note about that in there, and there's a couple of other authors that it reminded me of. There's only 155 pages here. The rest of it is all notes. There was a 44-page introduction where they kind of explain a little bit about the book. I guess I'm glad I read it. Now I know what the hell people are talking about. I got just a few notes here. 44-page introduction. This quote here was in the introduction, and apparently this is something on a big doorway at the University of Edinburgh, and I liked the quote, so I wrote it down. Those who have learned letters have two sets of eyes. It's a very simple quote, and I like it very much because I have two sets of eyes. One set has to concentrate on this fucked up world that we got going out here, and the other set gets to concentrate on whatever the hell I want to read. So, no matter what you're reading, whether you're reading fucking Harry Potter or something a little bit more serious, you get two sets of eyes. 66 CE, Petronius. There is some verse in here, and the verse just comes and goes for no apparent reason. The guy that translated this, because obviously it was written in Latin, he surmises that Petronius sticks in verse because Petronius has very little respect for poetry and poets, and Petronius wanted to show just how easy it was to make up poetry. There's also a character in here who is a poet who can't stop himself from reciting poetry, and whenever he does that, whoever he's around, whatever crowd is near him, picks up stones and starts to throw them at him. A lot of the stuff that I read has been translated. Not all of it is this old, but some books are written in German, some books are written in Italian, so they're translated. And I don't know that I've ever really thought about it all that much, but you probably have to substitute words. And very early in the book, on page 9, the translator uses the word shoddy, S-H-O-D-D-Y. Now, I'm not an etymologist. Hopefully I'm pronouncing that right. I don't study words. I just read. But I happen to know that the word shoddy is not an old word. The shoddy came out of the American Civil War. And it was in regards to a fabric they had made which fell apart quite easily. And so shoddy, you know, kind of morphed into a word to describe anything that wasn't worth a fuck. Apparently I got some reading to do here. Bottom of page 40 and top of 41. There's a lot of homosexuality in this book, so if you ever decide to read it, you have to be ready for that. It's not really soft porn. They don't go into that much detail, but it's in there. I remember this. There was a craftsman who made a glass goblet which was unbreakable. He was accordingly ushered with his gift into Caesar's presence. He got Caesar to hand it back to him, and he let it drop on the paved floor. Caesar could not have been more startled. However, the craftsman picked up the goblet from the ground. It was dented like a bronze vessel. He then produced a little hammer from his clothing, and without fuss restored the goblet good as new. After this demonstration, he thought that he was on top of the world, especially when the emperor asked, "Does anyone else know about this technique of glass making?" Now hear the outcome. When the craftsman said no, Caesar ordered him to be beheaded, for of course if the secret had leaked out, gold would be as cheap as dirt. I'm sure that's not a true story. I just thought it was a cool little thing. One more note here. Yeah. Recognizable writing style, still in use today. The scene on the boat where they're having this big brawl, where it breaks up into factions. It takes a few pages. It's humorous. It reminded me of a few different authors. It reminded me of Mark Twain. It reminded me of a guy named Dave Barry. Dave Barry started out being he was a columnist. You know, he did back when people used to read the newspaper, he did a humorous column. I don't think it was a daily thing. I think it was once a week. And it also reminded me of a guy named Bill Bryson. I've read 2 books by Bill Bryson. One of them is A Walk in the Woods, where Bill Bryson and a friend of his decide to walk the Appalachian Trail. And another one was In a Sunburnt Country. And just for a few pages there, it was a very modern-seeming book. It's not my favorite book. I'm sure in a couple of months I'll forget most of it. But it's going to go on the shelf. This is the 3rd book that I bought at a bookstore recently. This is not from out of my shitty book pile. And I think I'm going back today. I was kind of hoping, I cleaned out my attic a little bit and I found some books that I will never ever read. I don't know where the fuck they came from. And I have them in a box in the back of my truck. I was kind of hoping that they were taking books back. But this is kind of funny. When King Book opened back up, everybody and their brother wanted to bring boxes of books because during the lockdown, there's nothing to do but clean out your fucking attic. I wasn't the only one that did that. So I called them up today on the phone. They're still not taking books. Hopefully next weekend they're taking books. I'm going to go there and get at least one book. It's pretty bad when a $10, $20 expense is a big angst-ridden decision for you, but it is for me. Thanks for watching. Bye.